pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Director Conti, it is your meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This really shouldn't take more than 5 or 10 minutes, depending on the discussion. Ms. Monaco and Mr. Brooks attended the Ways and Means meeting with Mr. Cunha and myself, where we discussed two warrant articles that I hadn't explained well, and the field project that's in front of you. The field project that's in front of you is a community-based project. It really was developed in partnership with Park and Rec, but as a result of our field study that was funded, I think, 2 years ago by town meeting. Our first priority was the Francis Wyman baseball field, which was a warrant article last May. And this was the next priority for us, which is sort of the field space behind the current brush field. So Bob, keep me honest here in this conversation. To a person on Ways and Means, everyone said it was they really liked the project. They said it was a very good project, but they didn't have enough information to pass a supportive vote. They obviously, in the conversations, wanted to know about town meeting vote on the police station, which will be this town meeting. I'm not sure what night, so Wednesday or the following Monday. They really wanted to know the Fox Hill vote, I think, is sort of part of what they wanted. And there's also a comprehensive park and field study that Park and Rec is undergoing for non-school based fields. And they wanted to see that report and the priorities out of that report. I believe this is going to be a field priority for Park and Rec that comes out of there. But until they had that information, they didn't know if they could support it. So the vote at town meeting was, I think, 4 or 5 in favor and 8 opposed to this project. They weren't opposed to the project. They were opposed to sort of funding the project at this time. So my suggestion, in speaking with both Mr. Brooks and Ms. Monaco that night, and that's why I sort of wanted to follow through this meeting, is to get the entire committee's perspective, is that we asked town meeting to postpone the vote on this, but we introduce the project to town meeting and then say, but school committee would like to postpone the vote on the project until Ways and Means knows the outcome of the police station, the Fox Hill, and they get the priority list in that document, the Park and Rec field and park master plan merged with the school field master plan, so that they can figure out which project sort of comes next. Again, everyone liked this project. They don't want Park and Rec and the schools to be competing with one another. They're hoping that we can look at our priorities and potentially alternate, but they were concerned about supporting a expenditure either from free cash or bonding for this amount at this time. And I just want to make sure that I represented the conversation accurately. Again, Mr. Brooks, Ms. Monaco were there. So what I'm asking you tonight is my recommendation after my conversation with the members who were there was to ask town meeting to postpone this vote until that information can be provided to Ways and Means. With needing a 2/3 vote at town meeting without Ways and Means support, I think we'd be wasting a lot of people's time, and then we'd putting the larger project in jeopardy in the long term moving forward if we lose it at town meeting first. But I'd like town meeting to be aware, and we have enough handouts, and again, I'd like to say this would have been the warrant article, but the school committee is recommending postponing.
Is there any discussion?
So I was still in favor of presenting, just again, to show town meeting, number one, we're utilizing the resources we're provided because we got the money for this field study. I'd like to continue the conversation to move this into the debt schedule more formally, like we talked about Ways and Means, and that was a couple of the points that were brought up by several of the members on Ways and Means. So again, continuing that conversation, I think it would be valuable for town meeting to, have the discussion, get those feedback points where, and, identify the friction points to where this plan doesn't meet their needs, and let that kind of coalesce with what Ways and Means saw. So I was really more in favor of bringing it forward, actually. So that's my 2 cents.
Madam Chair, may I ask just for clarification? Again, I'm hoping to have all those conversations. I think in speaking to the moderator, he said he'd give us 5 or 10 minutes, but he didn't really want to facilitate what could be a 30-minute conversation if the school committee's going to recommend postponing the vote. If you're recommending that we have the vote, then I'm going to say more than likely again, I could be wrong, but more than likely without Ways and Means support, it won't be it won't be successful.
Catherine?
Through the chair. So, again, I heard you. What I was understanding you're saying is that we would make town meeting aware of this, but we're postponing it, right, till we get more information or the information that Ways and Means requires, and that study comes in from REC, so that we make sure that this is prioritized as one of the top priorities on REC's research as well, so that we can make sure we're presenting it properly to town meeting. Is that what you were trying to communicate? Did I get that right? Okay. So I mean,
recreation-
I think it makes sense to do that. No, and I want to hear
I
you
didn't
say
mean to
too,
cut you
because I
off.
know it's part of you. No.
Yeah.
But I feel like it makes sense if we're waiting to hear back from, the rec department's, research as well. And then also, based on Ways and Means kind of wanting more information, it makes sense to me, but.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Through the chairs. Yeah, so I think, again, Ways and Means, really, their hang-up was the dollar value associated and how it was going to be bonded. And the other thing I heard loud and clear was, now we're going to have 3 fields coming up together to be bonded every 10 years, right? So that was one of the sticking points as well. But again, I think we need to have this conversation because there's a way to get there. And recreation, this is a recreation top priority, not their number 1 priority, but a top priority, right? So I think we have that support. And again, I do want to continue that conversation with the town and get that feedback from the folks that are going to ultimately either support or not support this project and push it to a vote, because without that, I don't know that we'll get the floor time we need with all parties present to have that conversation in a meaningful way.
Again, it might be next May, but I'm saying you don't have to take my recommendation. If you tell me to present it, I'll present it and we'll take a vote. My concern is if we lose the vote, then it'd be harder for us to get a positive vote when Ways and Means does figure out how to pay for it. And I think that was sort of my thinking. But again, I will do what you all ask. That's the sort of the point of having this meeting with the 5 of you is to if you want me to just go ahead and present straight up, it's on the warrant, we can do that. I just don't think we'll get 2/3 vote without Ways and Means support.
Jeremy, are you requesting that we have town meeting vote on it this session? Is that what you want?
I'd like to. Again, I know it's a long shot, but again, I don't believe with all the other priorities or all the other things to be brought forward, we're going to get enough time. It's going to be a couple minutes to present it, leaving people with lots of questions and lots of unanswered questions if we don't present it fully and bring it to a vote. And I think it would be meaningful, too, to let us know kind of where this project stands at, because I think as we voted and as REC voted, we voted through this whole project as a one-phase project. So if there really is not support moving forward, it's only to get more expensive, and then we know we have to come back, and then we know what we have to come back with to make it pass, right? It is where I'm viewing it from, is the lens I'm viewing it from, because I don't know there's going to be overwhelming support, but we'll leave knowing exactly what the warrant should be, either in September or next May or whatever that winds up being. This is how we need to present it in the phases we need to present it, so we can scope and schedule it properly to get it through all the approvals and get that overwhelming support from the lead up. That's how I view it.
Melissa?
I just want to clarify, we have little to lose presenting it tonight. It's on the warrant. The price doesn't go down if we wait, and we can bring it back if it fails, correct? We could bring it back better if we have a legitimate discussion and we understand where the margin of error is. I feel like that's a better scenario. If the alternative is postpone it for a year, it gets more expensive, and I also agree that we don't get necessarily the feedback that we need. If we keep it on the warrant, it already is, and then we at least understand the support that it has, and if we are able to get it passed, I believe it's a relatively, there was some support on Ways and Means. I think the demographics of town meeting are different than the demographic of Ways and Means. So I think if we are able to get it passed, it puts us a leg up on getting started on the project, and this is the cheapest it will ever be.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
again, agree with all of that. I'm sort of sitting here saying penny wise and pound foolish. I know we're going to be asking for $100 million in September. I think we need Ways and Means support in that, and I think if we defer to Ways and Means, I think we can get this project, especially if they tell us how it's going to get paid for, and they're not going to agree on that. And I think that was the big part of the conversation. Everyone said, great project, but we want information from Park and Rec, and then we have to decide whether we bond it or pay for it out of free cash. And they were unwilling to pay for it out of free cash at this point because of some of the other things they wanted to pay off. I just think it's the mechanism of how to pay for it. And they even mentioned if there's an escalation because of price increases, it would be, they felt, one of the comments was the escalation would be minimal, 5, 6, 8%. When compared to them sort of knowing how to fund it, I guess is what I was saying. So, Melissa, all the things you're saying are true, and again, I will present this, or Bob will present this. I'm just saying, having sat through 16 years of these things, without Ways and Means support and without identifying town meeting how we're going to pay for it, we won't get a 2/3. This has to, because I think they'll say it's going to need to be bonded, which will mean a 2/3. If it was a majority vote and we were fighting over free cash, again, I would still not want to go in without Ways and Means support. We didn't lose a Ways and Means vote on any other warrant article or on our operating budget, so there wasn't a negative vote on any of it. The only 8 negatives we got were on this, and I think we need to honor that.
Melissa? Megan?
Thank you. I think that we should be focusing on listening to what Ways and Means has to say and making sure that we have the money to pay for this. And like Dr. Conti said, if it goes to a 2/3 vote, I don't think it'll pass. And I think we need to know that we have the money, the bonding to pay for it, and the support of Ways and Means.
All right, so I have a few comments. I can understand how everyone feels, I really can. And I want to thank the Rec Commission for bringing this stuff forward. There was a time when Rec was reluctant to bring almost anything forward because of the concern over funding, and I think there's been a shift, and now there's more of an aggressive, let's fix things, let's do things, and I think that's really good. The situation with the money is that both the police station and the Fox Hill School, I think, are considered, not sure what adjectives to use, but vital, critical, important to the town, top priority. And I think that they really want generalized support for those two projects so that we don't get in our own way, so to speak. This project being $6 million is a lot of money. If we were to pay for it out of free cash, it would bring our funding pretty low, and I think they're kind of hoping to have some free cash to put on either the police station or Fox Hill or both to make them a little less expensive on the bonding schedule. So if we were to use free cash, we'd only need a majority vote, and that would probably pass easily. The situation we're in, it will have to be bonded, which takes a 2/3 vote. And if we up the bonding schedule by $6 million now for that project, and then we come in with the police station Wednesday, and then in September we come in with the Fox Hill School, which I personally think is the top priority of this entire committee, it's like adding $6 million to an already really, really big pile. So what they said, and what, Ways and Means tries to work with us. They like us. They're good to us. And they try to make things fit. And what they said was, we want to see what the Rec's plan is. We want to see if we can pay with free cash or if we have to bond it. and the timing just isn't right. So I kind of left that meeting thinking, we're all working together. They would like us to put it off. I really think it's for a year because you don't generally fund financial articles except in May. And I think the understanding was that if we put it off, they'll do their very best to get it funded next May, regardless of whether it's a little more expensive or not. So in the spirit of wanting to work well with Ways and Means and listen to their input, I am inclined to do what they asked, which would be to postpone it. And I do understand, I think the reason that Eric spoke to the moderator and asked to have some time to present it, even though he would go along with postponing it, is so that town meeting will know about it, and they'll know it's coming in a year. It won't be a surprise. It'll be, oh yeah, they told us all about this last year. Here it is. Let's see if we can get this passed. And with a little luck, if we do as well on free cash next year as we've done this year, next year we may only need a majority vote to pass it, if it can be done out of free cash. So my feeling is, as much as I'd love to see it go forward, I'm pretty confident, like really confident, that it'll fail. And I would much rather be a team player and have it where everyone is kind of agreeing that we'll do it in a year, all on the same page. So that's my position. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Through the chair, so I do question the schedule a bit. Rec's study isn't due to be published till November, and then we have to have several meetings to coalesce that list and prioritize it. So I think we'll find ourselves right back in the same position, not knowing where we're going to be with much more clarity. In addition to that, the resurfacing of the track comes into question at that point, so it could add substantial costs to the project if the track degrades to a point where we have to replace the whole thing, and this is why I kind of want to press forward with it, because we are at that almost critical path as I see it right now, if that happens.
Again, Madam Chair, Jeremy, all good points. So I'm struggling because everyone is right here, and I just think we have a better chance next May if Park and Rec comes with a priority list and they have a $10 million priority that doesn't include this, then it's a different conversation. So hopefully we can work with Park and Rec, where they could say this is their top field project, maybe not their top park project, but this is their top field project. And then I just think that's going to make all the difference. Bob, my understanding is, did you get the compression results back yet on the field?
I don't have them in front of me, but I believe we did.
Okay. And then I thought we could get another year or two out of the track and the field. Is that?
Yeah, I think we're in a good position right now, because even if we did get the project today, we're probably 8 months to a year away from having a new field, a new track anyways. I don't think we're at the critical point. I think the discussion with the engineers was basically if we were to defer this for maybe 3 to 5 years is when we would be in critical. You know, as far as the compression test goes, that even when it gets hard, we still have some maneuvers that can get it to a playability safety point that it will fit us, but we can't do that for 3 to 5 years. And as far as the track underlayment, Mr. Brooks is correct. Typically what happens is when you put a new track down and a track surface, what happens is the rubber on top of it will wear away, and then it will impact the underlayment below that surface, and we don't want to get to that point. Thankfully, we're not at that point yet, but if we were to start scheduling major events and again defer this for multiple years, we could be at that point. So I think there is a concern that we do need to watch. I'm not leaning either way, whether we present it or not. I do agree you all have, you know, great facts, and I support all of you, but I don't think we make a decision based on it being critical for today. I think other factors you will have to decide on.
Okay, anyone else? Melissa?
I too love the idea of saying, oh, maybe next year we can afford it, next year we can afford it. I think next year we might be coming for a high school project. I've been to all of these rec visioning meetings. There's talk of a pool, a pump track. There's lots of other rec priorities that are also coming down the pike. So again, none of these projects are getting cheaper, and us saying, well, let's wait a year, then there's just more projects that are going to get added onto there. I also don't love the optics right now of us deciding a half an hour before a meeting where it's already on the meeting to withdraw it. I think we owe the folks at least the opportunity to vote on it. Whether or not it passes, we don't know, but that's my opinion.
Again, it's not that uncommon for warrants to be pulled at town meetings, so, it may be that with enough information and they could even fold this into a potentially some sort of other building project. So, like I said, for me, the people who we rely on to partner with us, and again, who didn't give any negative votes on anything that we're asking for, their negative vote is a clear outlier, and I think they're sending a message to us, and I just want to acknowledge that message. Again, I'm willing to present, but I want to acknowledge that Ways and Means didn't have enough information, because I think they would have said, they would have said, we don't like the project. No one said that. They all said, we love the project, we don't have enough information to figure out how to pay for it yet. And I think if we give them that information, I think they'll figure it out, and I just think we're more likely to get it by waiting than by asking now. And I'm trying to get the project done. So again, my recommendation, I've said my piece. You guys vote. I'll present. I won't present. I'll do what you all
Bob?
suggest.
Thank you. To the chair, I just wanted to add that I also recognize that this is above our typical allotment that the schools would get for warrant article requests.
Oh, yeah, it's big.
That's part of the reason why we're viewing this as a joint project with Rex and also for the community as well. But that being said, if there was a concern of this being delayed or pushed, we could separate the project, and if we did need to resurface the track, still expensive, but about $300,000, definitely something that could fit within our typical allotment if that was to continue. So just wanted that to be known as well.
Catherine, did you have something else?
Well, yeah, I just wanted, again, I agree with everybody too, right? I
Yeah,
get
we
everyone's
all do.
point of view, that's the problem. But I always, my perspective is there are a lot of people who have background and experience, like Dr. Conti said, 16 years of going through this, and Ms. Monaco, who's been through this over and over and over again, and, Ms. Wojcik, who's been on Ways and Means. Like, we have a group of people here who've been through this process many more times than I have, you have, or you have. And I always try to lean towards, like, even in business, the people who've been through things before. And not to say we shouldn't be expressing our own opinions and ideas and whatever, but I always say, I try to lean towards the people who have that experience, because either way, if it gets voted down, we don't pass, it's going to be another year anyway.
Right.
So it's kind of like, I feel like the whole point of team player and waiting for the rec department to come in. I mean, I don't know. Does it really take 5 months for them to decide how to prioritize something? That seems like a long time. You may know better than I do, but I think we need to play ball. And like I said, it's going to go a year anyway if it gets voted down. So I would like to present it and let them know, here's the heads up, it's coming. I just feel like that's maybe a better approach. Again, I didn't know anything about this meeting till today either, what we were discussing. So I'm, hearing all this and everyone's point of view for the first time right now too. So,
Madam Chair, if I may, can we make a motion to push this to a vote to either withdraw or present?
Yeah, just 1 minute. The last thing that I want to say is, as much as I really would like this to happen, I'm confident that it won't pass if we go forward. And I think that the goodwill of approaching it together with Ways and Means will almost guarantee us that next year we'll have their full support and it will pass. So again, I understand how everybody feels. I was disappointed in the reaction at Ways and Means, but experience tells me that working together is the best approach. So now, as Jeremy suggested, we need a motion either to go forward or to postpone, to ask town meeting to postpone. So somebody needs to make a motion.
I mean, I think everyone knows my motion is going to be, I'm going to move to bring it forward to a vote with town meeting.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to go ahead with the warrant article at town meeting.
Just presenting it to the vote, right?
With a vote, yes. Okay, all in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 All opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Well, no, I would say no, but, all right, can we have a motion to request to town, Eric, how do we do that? Do we just say the school committee voted to postpone?
That's what I would say. There might be a technical way at town meeting where someone has to do it on the floor, but I can't move forward without
Okay.
sort of some direction from you all.
All right,
I
so-
can get the town meeting to do the mechanism. I just want to say this is what the school committee's directing.
So we need a motion to postpone. We can either do it to a time certain, to next year, or we can just say postpone.
Can we put some pressure on Ways and Means? Can we postpone the vote until Ways and Means gives us a pathway to pay for it?
We could.
Or say next May at the latest. And
Okay.
that would let us do September or January.
All right, that works. Does anyone want to make that motion?
I have one question before I make the
Go ahead.
motion. So, again, I know we're voting to postpone it until the latest till next May, but are we still, I want to make sure, are we still presenting it as a potential project? Or are we just saying we're postponing it and saying nothing?
Through the chair, Ms. Bond, I would like to, I think the moderator said he would extend sort of 5 or 10 minutes for me to explain the project and why we were postponing. Not the in-depth presentation that we would need, but again, ideally, this would be Brendan Egan standing up next to me saying, we want to do this together, and that's not going to happen tonight
So do we
or
need
tomorrow
to
night.
state that, I guess, is what I'm trying to ask in the,
No,
for the postponing?
no, It's
Okay.
already been agreed upon, so all
Okay.
you need is a motion to postpone until next May at the latest, if you wanted to phrase it that way, until next May's town meeting at the latest.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we postpone presenting this to town meeting until next May at the latest.
Second.
Okay, and Madam Chair, just point of discussion too. My conversation with the moderator was whether we could change the amount of the warrant to just replace the track, for instance. So, or what I asked him specifically is, can we do design documents, which I think, Bob, were roughly around $700,000. And what Amy and Mr. Byer said is that's too drastic a change from the existing
From
warrant
6 million,
that we couldn't, it was 6.7, so I couldn't change it to say, oh, by the way, we're just looking for $700,000 for design documents for a firmer price. So I also explored whether we could alter the warrant article, and there wasn't enough time to get that done. So that's just another point, and there's a motion, so.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to postpone the Fields article for 6.7 million until no later than town meeting next May 2025. That's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no.
Nay.
No.
And that is a 3-2 vote. Is there anything else, Eric?
No, ma'am.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.